Hi everyone, Great Power 60 here. So I thought I would do a video for my Wednesday, and I'm wondering if I should call it like Wisdom Wednesday. Sharing some wise ideas. Let me just get something organized here, since I hadn't really planned on this. My daughter had, I'm going to take this tape off here. My daughter had these extra tiles at her place. I think she was either throwing them out or saving them in case something. I asked her for one anyway. I said, could I take one small, one large? And I thought these will be great for when I'm doing some gel painting or when I'm doing some inking or whatever. I thought these would be really cool. I just have to, there was something on here, like a tag or something, and I just have to get some of my Goo Gone to take that out. So I've pretty well put everything away except one little bag. Now I've got to figure out where am I going to put this. For now, I'm going to just put it under here, and I think it'll be okay. And let me just grab this bag. Sorry for the noise. I got everything out of there, and I'm going to save this bag to use in my journaling somehow, somewhere. Sorry, let me just fold it up and put it in its proper place. Oh, there we go. So I brought this tray with me to put things like, I was going to do some crafting, but you know, I enjoyed my little mini vacation, which was probably the first mini vacation I've had in over 10 years. I did do 1 week last year. My daughter was away for, her and her husband went to Ireland for their 20th anniversary, and the boys were home, and of course summertime. They were gone for a little over 2 weeks, and the other grandmother stayed with the kids for 1 week, and then I went over for the second week. And I don't remember doing any crafting. Here's some coffee dyed index cards, my other glue. I had some. I'm just taking them out of here while we chat. Things that, you know, I use on a daily for my crafting. Yeah, it was an absolute pleasure to just veg, to just look after the dog and the cat, play with them, and enjoy the quiet, and actually watch tons and tons of movies. I really, really enjoyed that. Oh, I have to be back in 1 second. About that, I had to go and check on my son's supper. It's boiling. I've got it for 7 minutes, and when I hear the beeper go off, I'll be able to go and finish supper. Yeah, don't need this in here. And that was for that, and this was just a toilet roll that I picked up. So yeah, so I was watching another video. There's a lot of videos out there, and I've forgotten the names. If I remember, I'll put them in the link below, or in the comments below. Here we go. I will try and put them in the, what do we call it? Description box below. There is two, but one of them gave me a lovely idea. And I remember that a lot of you, oh, here's my bulb ones. A lot of you really enjoyed my Tea With Me Tuesday, where I talked about things of interest or whatever, kind of like, you know, Carrie the Crafter when he does his Coffee with Carrie. You know, I had my Tea With Me Tuesdays, and talk about different things, Mom and so on, and life and things. And and I was thinking that perhaps I should take that up again, because there's so many things I would love to share with you guys. Right now you're looking at some papers that I pulled out of a very large German book, a very thick one. And this is this was about this particular artist, German artist. This is words, hopefully, that are not insulting. Some of his cartoon depictions would be wonderful. You look at them page, each one page to page. But the ending, and that's not the end of this one, I took it out because it was okay up to here. But then it becomes kind of gross or inappropriate or, yeah. This one I think was not too bad, but it becomes absolutely ridiculous. It tells a story of two people, like for instance this one, on a piano, getting tired, doing their thing, composing, blah blah blah, and then all of a sudden things become ridiculous, and this is the finale here. And I wish I could, some of the words I still remember, but some I don't. I would have to look them up. But yeah, so I was looking for some. I thought these would be kind of fun in in one of my signatures. I'm not sure where, and I'm not sure when, whatever. But I thought it would just be interesting. I like the old pages, and they're quite thick. So anyway, getting back to my original thought here until my beeper goes off and I have to go in the kitchen. I thought maybe I would share some words of wisdom that I have either learned or been reminded of. Not too heavy, not too life-changing, life-altering, but just some things that came up in watching some of these videos and gave me a little bit of courage. I don't know if courage is the right word. Gave me a little bit of food for thought, I think, that as we get older, sometimes we feel not quite part of society, or not part of our families anymore, or not. I went through that a little bit because I had cared for Mom for 8 years, 9 years, whatever, doesn't matter. Going through the stages of her just being forgetful to the point where Mom really couldn't communicate anymore, and her health was deteriorating. So from the ages of 82, 83 until 93, when Mom passed, we went through a lot of difficulties, a lot of change. I went through. I mean, I'm sure Mom did too, but and I kind of lost myself, I think. And that made me reflect. So I thought maybe I would like to kind of discuss a few things with you on a regular basis. I do have a list of things I want to talk about, and maybe craft while I'm talking. I think that would be a fun combination. That way it won't be too boring. It's not a lecture. It's just an informative chat. And I'm hoping that you will tune in. Oh, there goes the beeper. I hope I don't forget my train of thought. So let me go and check on supper, and I'll be right back. Alrighty, I'm back. Sorry supper is done. Yeah, these will go in a signature. Actually, I'm going to just open. This is my kind of catch-all for things and ideas and stuff, and yeah. Haven't quite named it, haven't quite finished it, haven't quite decided what I'm going to do with it. So yeah, that is where those will go, so I don't lose them temporarily. And I found a bunch of scraps, and I thought I would take a look at them while I'm chatting with you, just to see that some of these need to go in a different spot. Some of these are my die cuts, the little, what do we call them? Like, oh my God. Anyway, I'm just going to sort through some stuff here while we chat. So, yeah, I'm hoping that you will come by and listen, maybe join in the chat by, comments below, and let me know your thoughts on all of these different things. And I'll tell you why I thought of this kind of idea is that, when we are over 65, and I'll leave it at that rather than, over 70, over 80, whatever age you are, there are things that we go through that surprise us, shock us perhaps, and things like, okay, I think some people call it like feeling invisible, or losing our voice, or not being heard, and all of these things. And in a way, to me, I was kind of insulted because I've always been very independent. For those of you who've been around for a long time know that I lived alone for, 30, 40 years, whatever. I don't remember. Doesn't matter. But I've always been very independent. I've always had my own life, but also wanted to be part of my children's life. I always wanted to be available. The thing is that sometimes being available, we tend to forget about our own life. We tend to go through, I don't know how to explain it properly, but I think we as we get older, we there's a fear, I think. Oh, there's lots of great strips here for stamping. There's a bit of a fear of being forgotten or being left out, which is something that surprised me. To be honest, it surprised me as an independent woman who's always, kind of forged her own life, and I did my thing with work, and then I retired, and suddenly the game kind of changed a little bit. And now I'm speaking from a woman who's lived alone. Those of you who have had partners and lost them, for one, reason or another, whether it be through divorce or through death or whatever, find yourself alone and become fearful. The thing is we don't realize that we're actually stronger than we think, and we start doubting ourselves, and we start feeling that, first of all, we feel like we're dependent. Oh, look at this. I remember making this, that I was going to use it for something. But why is it stuck here? I don't know why. Oh, I see. It's a pocket. It's a pocket like this. Ah. Well, isn't that a fun thing to to find and discover. Yeah, we'll have to do something about that in a future video, but not right now. I'm just chatting. Yeah, and I think through the time of caring for Mom, her needs became more important than mine, and which is true, and so it should be. And as we all kind of go through that, the caring for someone else, the caring of a parent, the caring of our children, our grandchildren, and becoming involved that way. Today is different than the old days. In the old days, at least that I felt it was part of our family dynamic, is that the matriarch of the family became the glue that kept everything together. But today is not like that, at least not in the families that I know. Our children grow, they have families of their own, we become the babysitters, we become the go-to person for caring, and we want to do that. Absolutely, absolutely. We want to be part of their lives. We want to be, and then it gets to the point as they get older, we're not called upon. The advice is not asked for anymore because we are of a different generation. Things are different today. And I think some of us feel either taken advantage of, or we do things for our children that instead of doing for ourselves. And then suddenly we get to the point where we're lost. We're you know, what is our job now? I used to be a wife, I used to be a mother, I used to be the grandmother, I used to be the person, and then suddenly we're not being called upon, and suddenly we're feeling a little lost. At least I did. I until I started watching some of these videos that reminded me of my strength, reminded me of my independence, reminded me that I have a lot to offer, I have a lot to share, and thank goodness I have my YouTube channel, and I have my passion for arts and crafts and things like that gave me an out, gave me how can I put it, something else to focus on. And those are the kind of things I'd like to discuss. I'd like to talk about some of those issues of what do we do? You know, what is my role? Well, you can make it whatever you want. You are a human being. You are hopefully sound mind and body. And I mean, our bodies are not always sound, but we're doing the best we can. But that doesn't mean we have to shrivel up and become dependent on. I'm just throwing things away that looks useless to me. Looks useless to me. Yeah, I hope this all makes sense to you, but these are the kind of things that I'd like to talk to you about. I'd like to kind of discuss different things that we can do, or things that we can stop whining about, I guess, or be scared about. We shouldn't be scared, but some of us are, being alone for the first time sometimes. Yeah, there's kind of things that we go through when we get older that we didn't think we'd have to go through, or that we didn't think it would happen to us, or, things like that. And all I kept thinking about was, why am I depending on others for recognition or for my happiness or for when I never had to before? What has changed? And dynamics, family dynamics change. Things change. Life changes. Things happen. And we adjust. And I think as women, we are probably really good at adjusting. But sometimes we, I guess, kind of feel maybe, I don't know, left out. Or we start to worry about aging and what's going to happen next. And I think what I've discovered for myself is that I can do whatever I want. I can do it myself. I can make those phone calls about things that I'm interested in. I can get in touch with people that I need to get in touch with to discuss whatever I need to discuss, and be strong and be independent. So while I was going through caring for Mom, I did need someone to speak to, and I turned to my daughter and my son a lot, which really I shouldn't have. I should have spoke to someone professional, simply because it's like the advice you get when you're a married couple, when you're talking to your parents about your spouse, and we had a fight and blah 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 blah, and so the last thing that you hear from your loving son or daughter is that they had trouble, and you're finding it hard to forget about it, because you don't want them to hurt. You don't want them to feel bad. And you start feeling negative towards the person that hurt them. When in fact, they probably made up 10 minutes later, and he's probably, or she is probably, the nicest person in the whole world. But the last thing you heard was, he did this to me, or she did that to me, or blah, 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 and on and on and on. And then, so it's never good to talk negatively about your spouse to your parents, even though you really needed someone to vent with. The trouble is, the last thing we hear is, we had fight, and then you don't know about the making up and the fun times and the lovely times and all of the wonderful things. You don't hear about that. You hear about all the bad things, and then you have kind of a negative feeling about that person, which is bad. And it carries with you. So that was a piece of good advice that I never shared with my parents. Somebody had told me that when I was a young girl. It must have been in my early 20s, in my late teens, early 20s, whenever. And that was the best advice, because, if you talk negatively about your partner, to someone, that person's going to have a negative feeling towards that person, and thinking that you're always going through the bad stuff when you're not. You're just, So, getting back to when I was going through a lot with my mom, and not knowing what to do, and so all they're hearing is the negative, but they didn't hear the fun stuff that we did. They didn't hear the laughter and the joking, and, which is probably why I did a lot of videotaping of Mom when she did silly things, or when she was happy, or when, whatever. So, I would have been better off speaking to a professional. And to be honest, my daughter did suggest it, and I didn't follow through. I'm not a joiner. I'm not very good at joining things. I never was very good at joining clubs or joining different things. It just wasn't part of my makeup. It's just not the kind of person. And of course, I always had to do things on my own, so I always felt I could do it on my own. And as you get older, when you start relying on other people to solve your problems, if they're not professional, if they're family and so on, it gives them the impression that you can't handle, excuse me, you can't handle your own life. You can't handle being independent anymore. And they start thinking that perhaps you need to be, in a retirement home, or, somebody has to look after you because we, did that complaining, even though 90% of the time we're fine. It's just that one particular instant that threw us off the edge, and we needed to kind of vent, and we needed to talk about it. Well, yeah, so I guess my advice is, be very careful what you say and who you chatter to. Look at this silly thing that I've made. I don't know what that's for. Anyway, yeah, so I have sort of reclaimed my independence, and am now making choices for myself without the advice of family, because it's my life, it's my decisions, it's my choice on what I want to do. Right now, I'm just enjoying crafting. I'm enjoying playing with things and discovering through my stash here that I got all kinds of fun things. I could be making clusters out of all of this. Anyway, I did babble on about a lot of stuff, and it really, I suppose, the whole purpose of my chat is to say that, we're stronger than we think, and we don't need other people to guide our life. We don't need other people to take over the decision making in our life. And be very careful of that, because it can happen. And but if you can be strong and independent and speak to the right professionals and go through what you need to go through in order to make the decisions you want to make about things, you're going to feel a little stronger that you did it yourself. Yeah, I think I babbled on about kind of everything and nothing, but just to say that we can do anything we want to do. We just have to believe in ourselves. We have to speak to the right people, whoever that may be, and not involve family into things that will make them feel that you are not capable of looking after yourself. Because we are quite capable of looking after ourselves. And if we need help, let's get professional help. Let's not burden our children, our family, or whatever with minor details of things, or even major things. I think sometimes we feel invisible, we don't feel heard because we're not speaking to the right people. And that's, I guess, what I'm trying to say. This is kind of cute. I could make some really, look guys, I can make some really cool clusters with all of these pieces that have been sitting in this bag for who knows how long. I've got more stuff in here I'm going to go through. So I guess I would like to kind of talk about different things that concern us as we get older, and join together, and let me know if you've had issues that perhaps things have happened that you maybe wished you had either kept to yourself or just, spoke to someone that is not emotionally tied to you in one way or another. And that way you will have a better understanding of how you're feeling, what you're going through, and maybe not burden the family, because I feel that's what I had done. I felt like I had burdened my son and my daughter with the stresses I was going through, and all they heard was the stresses. They didn't hear about the fun things we did or whatever, because, you know, I just needed someone to speak to. And what I should have done was take my daughter's advice and talk to my doctor and maybe get a professional counselor of some kind, or and talk over things. And you know, it would have made their life less worrisome about me, because I'm perfectly capable of doing things on my own. I don't need my hand held. I don't need to be told, oh, you're too old for that, or you're too young for that. Not too young, obviously, but anyway, I hope you understand what I was babbling about. I hope you are still around listening to me babble here as I go through this cool stuff. I think I'm going to do some clutters. Anyway, guys, that's it for me for today. I hope you can comment and let me know if you have been through some sort of situation like that, where, you know, we have to not have so many regrets when we get older. I mean, regretting life, things that we've done in life is of no use to anyone. So, I mean, as I say, we all have regrets. It's just don't dwell on them. And I'm not going to dwell on mine. I mean, I made mistakes. I've learned from them. And now I'm going to get on with enjoying my life, enjoying my crafting, which is a passion. I love just creating, just playing with all of these wonderful things. So let me know what you think about having a kind of a craft with me, with hopefully a little wisdom. Anyway, that's it for me for today. Thanks for joining me. Thanks for allowing me to kind of babble on about things that I've discovered that I can do without permission, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. We don't need permission to do whatever we want. We can do whatever we want. We just need to be strong enough to follow through, go through with it. Let's do it. All right. We'll talk to you again soon. Bye for now.